Hi there, my name is Simon, and in this video I will show you how to set up a WordPress website using Hostinger. In the first part of this video, we will set up your Hostinger account and we'll make sure to choose the right plan for your WordPress website. Then we will choose your domain name, which could be yourname.com or your companyname.com, whatever you want. And once we have that, we will install WordPress and we will learn how to use WordPress to build and customize your website step by step. We will only be using free tools to build and run our website, so the only cost we will have is hosting. And don't worry if you have zero experience when it comes to building websites. I will take you through the entire process step by step. So by the end of watching this video, you'll have all the tools and all the knowledge to build a beautiful and fully functional WordPress website. Let's get started. All right, so the first step is going to be setting up your Hostinger account. And to make sure you get the best deal with Hostinger, I recommend to click on the first link down below in the video description. This is my personal referral link, which will enable you to get an additional 10% off of the already discounted sale price of Hostinger by using my promo code. So once you click on that link, you should get to this page right here. And once you're here, just click on Claim Deal. And this will take us to the different hosting plans. Now, the plans that I would recommend is either the premium plan or the business plan. Now, the difference between these two plans is mainly the CDN feature, which you get with the business plan, which will mean that all of the data of your website will be stored on multiple servers across the globe, which will increase the average load time of your website, and therefore you're going to have a higher performance. So if you want to get the best performance, I recommend to get the business plan, but if you have a bit of a lower budget, the premium plan is also a great choice. So for this video, I'm just going to go ahead and choose the business plan and click on Add to Cart. Then here on the next step, we're going to have to choose our payment period, which means how many months in advance we're going to pay for our hosting. Now, the more you're going to pay up front, the cheaper it's going to be on average. So the cheapest option is the 48 months option. By choosing this, you're going to pay for 4 years of hosting and you're going to pay $3.99 per month on average. And after those 4 years, it's going to renew at $8.99 per month, which is also lower compared to the other options here. So for this one, you're going to pay for 24 months in advance for $49 per month, and then it's going to renew at $9.99 per month. So if you have the budget and you know that you're going to be using your website for multiple years, I recommend to go with the 48 months option. But if you have a bit of a lower budget or you don't know how long you're going to be using your WordPress website, then you can also choose one of these other options here. Just keep in mind that for the 1 month option, you don't get the free domain for the first year, and you also have a $5 setup fee. So I don't recommend to go with the 1 month option. I would go with the 12 months option if you have a bit of a lower budget. Now, I'm going to be using this Hostinger account just for this video. So I'll just choose the 12 months option and then move on to the next step, which is creating your account. Here, just type in your email address and choose a password. And then we can move on to the last step, which is choosing your payment method. But before we do that, let's scroll down a bit further and click on Have a Coupon Code. Here you can enter my coupon code, which is Metics Media. And once you click on Apply, then you can see that you get an additional 10% off of your hosting price. So once that's done, you can just choose your payment method right here, enter your information if you want. You can also do that later and just leave these things empty. But then just enter your payment information down here and click on Submit Secure Payment. Great, so now our Hostinger account is created, and after that we get to this onboarding sequence of Hostinger. Now we can all do that ourselves in the dashboard, so let's save some time and go straight to our Hostinger dashboard by clicking on the Hostinger icon here at the top and then click on Leave. And this takes us into the Hostinger dashboard. Now here, there's a few things we want to do to complete our setup. So the first thing is to verify our email address, the one we have used to sign up for Hostinger. So just head over to your email inbox and then you should see an email from Hostinger called Verify Your Email Address. Just click on this email and then click on verify email. And this takes us back into our Hostinger dashboard. So we can just close the other two tabs up here because we don't need them anymore. And the next step is to set up our domain name. So the domain name is just the name of your website. Like for Apple, it's called apple.com. For Facebook, it's facebook.com. And we also want to have our own domain name for our website. And because we have chosen a hosting plan of 12 months or more, we can get a free domain for the first year by clicking on claim domain right here. And then here we can look for the domain that we want to get. Now, for example, if you're going to create a personal website, it could just be your name.com, or if creating a website for your company, it could be your companyname.com. In general, I recommend to keep it as short and as simple as possible, maybe something that's easy to remember. Now, sometimes it's going to be hard to find the domain that you actually want, and then you're going to have to be a bit creative. Something you could also do is change the domain extension here at the end. Usually, I recommend to go with a .com domain. That's what people are familiar with, so this is something that I would prefer, but sometimes maybe when your personal name is already taken, you can also choose a .net domain. But like I said, I recommend to go with a .com if you can. Now, my personal website will probably be called meticsmedia.com, but I already have that domain. So I'm just going to add a 1 and look if that domain is available. Now, we can see this one is available, so we can actually purchase it here, or we can get it for free for the first year. And in general, I recommend not to use any numbers in your domain if that's not part of your brand name. But this is just for this video. I'm not going to be using this domain any further after this video. So I'm just going to be choosing this one right here and click on claim domain. And then to finish up the registration process for your new domain, you're going to have to enter some contact details of you if you're creating a website for yourself, or of your company if you're creating the website for your company. So just enter all of your details and move on to the next step. Once that's done, we should get to this step right here. So let's click on continue. And then we can see an offer for hosting, but we already have hosting. So we can just ignore this and click on skip. I don't need a website. So now we're back in the Hostinger dashboard, and here under domains, we can see the domain that we have just registered. Now to complete the registration process, we want to click on our domain. And then here we can see that there's a pending verification. This means that we also need to verify our email address for the domain as well. So go to your email inbox, and here you should be able to find an email that says, please confirm your contact details for your domain. So let's click on it. And then here we just click on this link. Then here we want to confirm all the information by ticking all of these boxes and click on submit. Once that's done, we can close both of these tabs and go back to our dashboard. And here, let's reload the page. And now we can see that the email verification status says verified. So now we have successfully registered our domain, and we can move on to the next step, which is installing WordPress. So to do that, we're going to click on hosting in the top menu. And then you should see our hosting plan right here. Here we want to click on setup. And then here we can save some time and just skip all these questions. So let's click on skip at the bottom. And here we can choose how we want to build our website. So we can use WordPress with AI, or we can use the Hostinger website builder, which is their own product of Hostinger. And I've already created a video on how to use this website builder. So if you're interested in this one, I'll leave a link to this video down below in the description. But as this video is all about using WordPress, we're going to stick to WordPress with AI and click on select WordPress at the bottom right. And now we have to create our WordPress account. This is going to be the account that you'll use to log into the backend of your WordPress website. So you can just use the same email that you've used for your Hostinger account, choose a password, and click on next. And now Hostinger already wants to install a theme to our new WordPress website. But for now, we just want to install WordPress, and we're going to take care of installing a theme later on once we have installed WordPress. So for now, we're going to skip this by clicking on skip here at the bottom. And then the same thing here with the plugins. We don't want to have anything pre-installed. So we're going to choose no, I want to select plugins manually and click on next. And here, let's just deselect all of these plugins that Hostinger wants to install to our WordPress website and click on skip. And here, the same thing. We don't want any pre-generated content. So let's click on skip. And here we can select the domain that we want to use for our WordPress website, which again is just the website name. And here we can see this is the domain that we have registered before. So let's click on it and click on next. And here we can choose the server location of where our website files will be stored. Now, in general, it's best to keep the server as close to your website visitors as possible because this will reduce the loading speed of your website. So personally, I live in Switzerland, so the best place for me would probably be France. But I've chosen the business hosting plan, which has multiple servers anyway for my website. So it probably doesn't make that big of a difference. But if you've chosen the premium plan, then I recommend to just choose the server location where you live or the closest to where you live or where your website visitors will be. So if your website visitors are mostly in Europe, then choose a server location in Europe. If it's in the United States, then choose one in the United States. So I'm going to choose France and click on next. And now WordPress is being installed. So now WordPress has been installed and we are back in the Hostinger dashboard for our new website. And before we move on and go to the actual WordPress dashboard for our website, I want to quickly check if the SSL certificate is installed on our website. So let's go to the left side menu and click on security. And then let's go to SSL. And here we can see that the SSL certificate is installed on our website. This is basically the log icon next to your website URL, making all the connections secure. So it's very important that this is installed on our website. So let's head back over to the dashboard here. And then to actually go to WordPress, let's click on Admin Panel at the top right. And this takes us into the WordPress dashboard for our website. Now, this is the backend of your website. So you're going to come here a lot while building your website. And also in the future, whenever you want to change something, you're going to come here into the WordPress dashboard. So while building and making changes to your website, you'll be using your WordPress dashboard a lot. So it's very important that you have a very quick and easy way to actually get to your WordPress dashboard. We've already looked at one way, which is just through your Hostinger account right here. So when you log into Hostinger, you can just go to your websites, and then here for your website, we can just click on Admin Panel, and this will take us to the WordPress dashboard. But there's actually a quicker way, which is just to open up your browser, then type in your website URL. For me, this is meticsmedia1.com. And then at the end, after the / type in wp-admin, and then hit enter. And this will take you directly to your WordPress dashboard. Something that I recommend is to just create a bookmark for your website or for your WordPress dashboard by just dragging this website's URL to your favorites bar here. And then you can just click on it and this will take you directly to your WordPress dashboard. All right, so now let's take a quick look at what our website currently looks like. The easiest way to go to your website once you're in your dashboard is to come over here to your website name and then click on Visit Site. And this is what our website currently looks like. There is just some default content on it that basically comes with every new WordPress website. But in this video, you're going to learn how to change every part of your website and you'll be able to create something that looks much better than this. At the top of our website, we can see this WordPress bar here with a few options. And this is only available once we're logged in to our WordPress admin account. We can log out right here and then this bar will disappear and we will just be another visitor of our website. But whenever we see this bar, when we go to our website, we know that we are logged in and that we can make changes to our website. We can also just go back to our dashboard by hovering over our website name and then clicking on dashboard. All right, so before we're gonna get started building our website, we first wanna go through some things in the WordPress dashboard and just delete some things that we don't need. Because when you create a new WordPress website, it usually comes with a lot of pre-installed things like plugins, some default pages and posts, and we don't really need them, and they also kind of slow down our website. So we first want to delete them and then start from complete scratch. I like to start here in the dashboard area, where I like to disable all of these windows, which again just makes things look less confusing. So let's click on screen options here at the top right, and then just uncheck all of these windows and make them disappear like this. Then let's go to posts, and here we can see a default hello world post on our website that we don't need. So we can just click on bin to delete this post, and then to permanently delete it, we have to go to our bin, and then we can just click on empty bin. So now this post is permanently deleted. Next, we're going to go to pages, and here we have a default page, a privacy policy page. We do the same thing here, just click on bin, and then go to our bin and click on empty bin to permanently delete this page. Then let's go to plugins. So plugins are essentially just extensions to your website that allow you to have more features. Just like for your smartphone, you can download different apps. For your website, you can install different plugins. So you want to avoid having too many plugins on your website because it kind of decreases your website speed and it makes things overall a lot more complex. So later on, we're going to install a few plugins that we need to build our website. But for now, we're just going to delete the ones that we don't need. And I'm going to delete these two Hostinger plugins. These were just installed because we are using Hostinger to host our WordPress website, but we don't actually need them. I'm going to keep the Lightspeed Cache plugin because this makes our website faster. So we first have to deactivate the plugins that we want to delete. So let's just tick both of them here, then go to bulk actions and click on deactivate and apply. And then you can see the background changed from blue to white, which means that now these two plugins are deactivated. And now to permanently delete them, we have to select them again, then go to bulk actions, click on delete and apply, confirm. And now both of these plugins are deleted. And then while we are building our website, I recommend to deactivate the Lightspeed Cache plugin, just because when caching is enabled, it takes longer for us to see the changes that we are making. And this is kind of annoying. So we can just deactivate it and then activate it again once we are done. So let's just click on deactivate. And now we're also going to go through a few settings that I like to change whenever I create a new WordPress website. So let's go to settings. And then here we can change the site title and the tagline. This is what we'll see at the top of the browser on our website. So when we go to our website right here, we can see here at the top, there will be our site title and next to it the tagline. And we can change that here. So currently it's just our domain, but I'm just going to type in Metics Media for the site title. And then the tagline, I don't know, I'll just say this is a WordPress website. And then when we scroll all the way down, we can click on Save Changes. And then when we go back to our website and reload the page, we can see that the site title and the tagline has changed. So let's close this tab again. And then let's also go to the discussion section of the settings. Here, what I like to do is disable this option, allow people to submit comments on new posts. Because if this is enabled, then people will be able to just leave comments when you create a new post. And usually that ends up in a lot of spam comments, which is kind of annoying. So I just like to turn it off. Then let's scroll all the way down and click on Save Changes. And next, we're also going to go to our permalinks. And here we want to change the permalink structure from this default structure right here, which looks really bad, to the post name structure. So whenever you create a new post on your website, you're going to have your domain / the post name. So we can just select it here. And then what I also like to do is just delete this last / here because I think it looks a bit better without it. So once that's done, we can just scroll down again and click on Save Changes. And that's all for the basic settings. So let's head back to our dashboard. So now let's start setting up our website. The first thing we're going to do is install a WordPress theme. The theme is going to allow us to build our website using drag and drop, so we don't have to do any coding. So let's head over to Appearance on the left side. And then here we can see there are already some themes that came pre-installed. These are just default WordPress themes, and we want to add a different one. So let's click on Add Theme at the top. And the theme that we're going to use is one of the best and most popular ones, which is this one right here, the Astra theme. And you should be able to see it right here, but if you can't, you can just type it in right here, Astra, and then it should come up right here. Then let's click on Install. And once it's installed, let's click on Activate. Now let's close this window right here and this one also. And now we can see we have 4 themes and we have already activated the new one, which is the Astra theme. So now we can actually delete the ones that we don't need. So let's just click on this, go to Delete, Confirm, and then do the same thing for the other 2 themes as well. Next, we're going to be installing a plugin that will make building our website a lot easier. It will give us tons of professionally designed templates that we can use, and it will also install a page builder called Elementor, which is the most popular page builder on WordPress. So let's head over to Plugins. Then let's click on Add New Plugin. And here, let's type in Starter Templates. And it should come up right here. It's this one. So let's click on Install and Activate. And this will automatically open up the interface for this plugin. But if it doesn't open up for you, you can also just go here from your dashboard. So I'm going to exit this and go to my dashboard. Then I'm going to go to Plugins. And here we can see the Starter Templates plugin we have just installed. And we can just click on See Library. And this will take us to this interface. So once here, let's click on Build with Templates. Now here we can choose what kind of page builder we want to use. The page builder is going to allow us to create our website using drag and drop, which makes things a lot easier. I recommend to use Elementor because it's the best and most popular one. So we're going to choose Elementor. And here we can now choose a template for our new website. You might be a bit confused because we've already chosen a theme and now we also have to choose a template. But there is a bit of a difference. So the theme basically gives our website the overall design and code behind the website. And these templates here, they just give our website a starting point by adding a few pages to our website. So especially for people who are not professional website designers, this is very helpful. So you can find a lot of free themes in this library, but you can also find some premium themes. If it says premium here, then this theme actually costs something. So the best way to find a good template for your website is to just browse these categories right here, or you can also come over to the search bar and type in a keyword that is related to your kind of website. So for example, if you want to create a restaurant website, we can just type in restaurant and then look at the templates that come up. So here we can see a few premium templates, but when we scroll down, we can also find a few templates that are free. For example, this one right here. Now, if you want to further check out how this website would look like, we can just click on the template and this will open up a preview of this website. So we can just scroll down and see how it is structured. We can also click on different links on the website and see how it will look like. Now you can still change everything here. You can change the pictures, you can change the text and everything about your website. But it makes sense to choose a template where you kind of already like the structure, because this means that you'll have less work to do to actually customize it to your own website. So in this video, I'm going to choose a different template. So I'm going to go back by hitting the X right here, and then I'm going to delete the filter. And what I'm going to choose is this one right here, the Planet Earth template. It's a very simple layout that you can use for any type of basic website. And at the same time, it's a very good one to learn how the page builder works. So this is the one that I'm going to choose for this video. So let's click on it. And here we could already upload our logo, but we're going to do that later. So I'm just going to scroll down and click on Skip and Continue. Then here we can play around with some different color settings. So currently we are on the default colors, but we can also click on these different palettes to kind of see how it would look like with different colors. Now, for now, I'm going to stick to the default colors. Later on, we're going to see how you can change all the colors to whatever you want. But for now, we're just going to leave it like this. Then the same thing with the fonts right here. You can try out different fonts. But for now, let's stick to the default one and click on continue. Here, let's just leave everything as it is and click on submit and build my website. And now your website is being built. And once that's done, we can click on view your website. So this is what our website looks like now. We have changed everything from the default design that we had in the beginning when we installed WordPress to this template that we have chosen here. So this is the home page. We can also go to the about page, which looks like this. And we also have a services page and a contact page. Now we can also see these pages in the dashboard. So when we come over here to our website name and then open up the dashboard in a new tab, then we can go to our pages. And here we can see the same pages. So we have our home page, we have our about page, our contact page, and the services page. We can also go to plugins. And here we can see that there are 2 new plugins that were automatically installed when we've set up our website, which is our page builder, which is Elementor. And then we also have this WP Form Slide plugin, which allows us to have a contact form on our contact page. So now we have installed everything that we need and we are ready to customize our website. And we're going to do that in the Elementor page builder. So how do we get into the page builder? Now there's 2 ways. The first one is to just come over here and go to our website. And then here, when you're logged in to your WordPress account, you can see that bar here at the top. And now that we have installed Elementor, we can see this button that says Edit with Elementor. So we can just click on it. And this will take us to the page builder for our homepage where we can start to make changes. Another way to go to the page builder is to go through your dashboard. So let's go to pages. And then here, let's say we want to make some changes to the about page. We can just hover over it right here. And then you can see it says Edit with Elementor. We can just click here and that will take us into the page builder for the about page. But we want to just work on one page at the same time. So we're going to close this tab of the about page and just go back to our home page. Now, the first thing that is very important to understand is how our pages on our website are structured. And we can nicely see that here in the navigator. If you can't see that navigator, you can come down here on the bottom left and click on the navigator icon to make it appear. So every page on our website is built using containers, and inside of those containers, we have elements. So here in the navigator, we can click on that first container, and the magenta line here will show us where that container is. So here, that first container is basically just the entire top section with this landscape background. When we click on this second container, which is inside of this first one, then we can see this gray line, which shows us that this part right here is the second container. And within that container, we have elements, which is the actual content on your website. So here we have a spacer, which is this top part of the container. Then we have this heading saying Earth. We have another heading, which is below this saying Endless Potential. And then we have a button right here at the bottom. And the rest of this page is built in the exact same way. So when we scroll down, we come here to the second container. And then when we open it up, we can see 3 more containers, which just are these 3 columns right here. We can open them up and then we can see there's an image, which is this one. We have a heading, which is this web design. And then we have the text editor, which is for this text right here. So this is how our pages are structured. And I like to use this navigator whenever I get confused about the hierarchy of all of my containers and my elements. But whenever I'm changing something on the site, I don't really use it. So for now, we're just going to close the navigator right here. And whenever we want to take it back, we can just come down here and click on the navigator icon to make it appear again. Whenever you want to move a container on your page, you can just hover over the container you want to move, and then you want to click and hold on these 6 dots and then move the container to wherever you want to place it. Maybe we just put it right here. And now the position has changed. Whenever we need to undo something and go back one step, all we have to do is press Command Z on our keyboard for Mac or Control Z for Windows. And as we can see now, the container is back in its original position. Whenever we want to add a new section to our page, we have to first start with a new container. So to add a new container, we can just hover over an existing container and then click on the plus icon here at the top. Then again, click on the plus icon. And then we can choose between Flexbox and Grid. I'm going to go more in depth about what the difference is here. But for now, let's just choose Flexbox. And then we have some different structures we can start with. Maybe we want to just do something with 2 columns. So let's choose this structure right here. And then we can also decrease or increase the width of these columns here. And once this layout is looking good, we can start adding elements. So here on the 9 dots, we can find all of the elements we can add. For example, we can click, hold, and drag in our heading. Then we can go back to our elements and maybe also drag in some text below our heading. And then maybe we also want to add a button below the text right here. And whenever we want to delete one of these elements that we've just added, we can simply right click and then click on delete. When we want to delete the entire container we have just added, we can just hover over it and then click on the X, which will delete the entire container. Something that's also very useful to know is that all of your changes are always saved here on your page builder. So let's say we want to go back to a previous version of our website. What we can do is come down over here and click on this history icon. Here we can see all the changes that we have made, and we can always go back to a previous version. So maybe we want to go back 2 steps. We can just click on this button added step here, and this will take us back 2 steps where we had this new container right here. But I actually don't need this container, so I'm going to delete it again by clicking on the X here at the top. And to save any changes we've made and make it go live on our actual website, we can come down here and click on Update. Whenever we want to see a preview of our website, we can simply just close down this Elementor sidebar by clicking on this arrow, and this will give us a full width view. Or what I like to do is just open it up in a new tab. So we can take back that sidebar by clicking on the arrow once again. And then we can come down here and click on this eye icon that says Preview Changes. And this will just open up our website here in a new tab. So let's close this tab again and go back to our page builder. So now you understand exactly how your pages are structured with containers and elements. So now we have to learn how to actually edit and customize all of the elements on our page. So this would be the text on the page, the buttons, the background images, these images right here, and just everything we can see on our website. So let's start with this element right here. We have a heading element saying Earth. If you want to make changes to this element, all we have to do is click on it here in the preview. And then on the left side, all of the options for this element will open up. And with Elementor, we always have 3 tabs. We have the Content tab, we have the Style tab, and we have the Advanced tab. In the Content tab, like the name says, we can change the content. So if you want to change what it says here, we can just change it here under Title. So let's say we just type in WordPress, and then it will automatically change right here. Alternatively, we can also just click on the element right here and then highlight it, and then just change it directly here in the preview. Here under link, we can also add a link so that when people click on this heading, it will go to the link you put in here. And then we can also change the HTML tag. Then we can also go to the second tab, which is the Style tab. Here at the top, we can change the alignment. So currently this heading is aligned in the center, but we can also align it here to the left or to the right of the page. But obviously it looks best in the center, so I'm going to put it back to the center. Then under text color, we can mess around with the color of this text. So here by clicking into the color, we can basically change it to any color that we like. Or when we click on this globe icon here, we can see all the default colors that are already set up based on the theme that we have chosen. So in general, I recommend to use these colors right here just to stay congruent within your color theme. So I'm going to put it back into this green color. And then we also have typography. So when we click on this pen icon here, we can change everything about the typography. So we can change the font family. Maybe we want to use Verdana, or we want to change the size of this text right here. We can also change the weight. So here we can make it bold, or we can make it a bit less bold. We can also change the line height, the letter spacing, and the word spacing. But to kind of illustrate that, let's go to a different part of the page. Let's just scroll down and go to this text element right here. So again, to edit this, we just click on it, and then we just go to the Style tab, go to Typography, and then we're going to scroll down to these options, line height. So here we can just play around with the line height, and we can see when we increase it, the difference or the spacing between each of the lines will increase or decrease. Then we also have letter spacing, which just is the space between the letters. And we have word spacing, which is the space between each of the words. And once we're done with our changes, we can just close the typography settings again by clicking on the pen icon once again. And then we also have the advanced tab right here, but we're not going to go too much in depth here right now because this has mainly to do with spacing and alignment, and we're going to cover this at a later part in this video. But for now, this is how you can change everything about your text elements on your page. So next, let's learn how to edit and style the buttons on your website. Buttons are the places on your website where you want people to click on to get to the next page. So for example, here we have a button saying Explore, but for now, we're just going to delete this one and create a new button from scratch. So let's right click on this and click on delete. And now to add a new button element, we're going to go to the 9 dots right here. And then from here, we're going to drag in the button element below this text right here. So now what we're going to try to do is to style this button to look exactly like this button right here, which is on the official WordPress.org website. So let's go back to our page builder and click on our button. And this will open up the options for this button again here on the left side. And we can see the same tabs as with the other elements. We have the content tab, the style tab, and the advanced tab. So let's start again with the content tab. First of all, for the type, we're just going to leave it at default. And then for the text, we want to change it to Get WordPress because that's what our other button says here that we tried to emulate. And then we always want to add a link to our buttons so that when people click on it, it will actually go somewhere. So here under link, let's say we wanted to go to the contact page. So we can just type in contact, and then we can see the contact page right here. So we click on it, and this will take the URL of our contact page to this field. Then we can also add icons to our button, but we don't have any icons here. So we're also not going to add it to our button. So now let's switch to the Style tab. And here, let's start with the alignment. So we want to have the button in the center. So I'm going to click on Center right here. Then let's look at the typography. So here, it kind of looks like this is some kind of Arial font. So we're going to add that as well. So let's go back here. Then under typography, let's click on the pen icon. And then we're going to change the family to Arial. And I think that looks a bit more like the button that we have on the other website. Then for the size, we can change that right here. I think this looks good. Then I think the text is a bit bolder here. So I'm going to change the weight as well to, let's say, semi-bold. Then we also want to change the spacing between the letters. So here the spacing is a bit too big. So we're going to go to letter spacing and decrease it to something like this. And that's it for the typography. So let's click on the pen icon again to close the settings here. So now let's look at the colors for this button. And we can see that the text is already white, which is good. but we do want to change the background color of this button to a blue to make it look like this button here. So let's go to color and then here click on this icon. And then let's go to the blue colors right here and just try to find the color that looks like the one on the other page. I think this kind of looks like this color. And then when we go back here, we can also see that when we hover over this button, then the color changes and gets a bit darker. And that's called the hover effect when you hover over the button. And that's something we can also add. So let's go back here and then click out of the color picker. Or actually, let's go back in it and then just copy our color code right here. This is defining the exact color we have here. So let's just right click and copy this. And then let's change from normal to hover, then go to the color settings again. Then we're going to first paste in the color we already have into this field down here. Just right click and paste. And then we just want to make it a bit darker. So we're just going to drag this into the darker area here. And now we can see that when we hover over the button, the color changes and gets a bit darker as well. So now we're done with the colors and we can move on to the overall shape of the button. And when we go back here, we can see that this button has a bit of a different shape than what we currently have. So we want to go back here and then play around with the padding. So let's scroll all the way down here in the Style tab and then go to padding. I'm first going to unlink these values here so I can set individual values for each of the sides. And first we're going to do the left and the right side. So let's do the right side. Let's try 20 pixels or let's try 25. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the left side. And then maybe let's try and add 20 to the top or maybe 15. And then the same thing for the bottom, 15. Let's go back and see. Yeah, I think a bit more, maybe 17 would look more like this other button. 17 here as well. And I think that looks pretty good. Now we also want to look at the edges. So here we can see it has a bit rounded edges. Here we can see it. And we can also add that. So let's go back. And then here under border radius, we can just add the values here. And by adding this, we can see that the radius here increases. So we can make that really intense. So we can have kind of this pill looking button. But we want to have it to look like exactly like the other button. So I think 3 pixels looks pretty good. And that's basically how you can create any type of button on your page. So now let's take a look at how to edit the images on our website. And first we need to make a distinction between the background images and then just image elements. For example, here in the top section, we have a background image. So here we can see the landscape, and then in front of the landscape, we have these elements. This means that this is a background image, which just fills out the entire section of this container. When we scroll down, here we can see that we have some image elements, and the background is just a white color. So here there's no background image. Then here when we scroll down to the next container, we have a white background and then an image element here in the right column. Then here we have another background image because here it fills out the container area and we have some text in front of or inside of the container. So first we're going to look at how to actually edit the image elements, which we have here. So we have 3 images here, and then we have another image element right here. Now to change the images here, we can just click on it, and then we can see the same layout again. We have content, style, and advanced. Here under choose image, we can just click on choose image. And then here we have 3 options. We can upload our own image by just dragging and dropping it in here. Then we also have the media library. These are all the images that are already uploaded on your website. So here we can just see the images that are used to make this template that we are using. And then we also have free images. These are just taken from copyright free image sites, and you can just browse here. So we can just maybe type in nature, and then we should be able to see different images about nature that we can just use for free on our website. Now, if you need some more copyright-free images, what you can do is just go to Google, type in copyright-free images, and then you can look at the first website. So we have Pixabay, we have Unsplash, we have Pexels, FreePic. You can check out all of these websites. I like these first three right here, Pixabay, Unsplash, and Pexels. And then you can just simply download these images for free and use them on your website. So for this example, I'm going to upload an image that I have prepared before. So I'm going to click on Upload Files, and then I'm just going to drag and drop the image into the canvas. And once it's uploaded, I'm going to click on Select. And just like this, we have this new image inserted into this right column. Once the image is inserted, we can also make some changes by going over to the Style tab. And here we can decrease the size, for example, by playing around with the width of the image with this slider here. We can also use the height to change the size. Then we can also play around with the opacity, so we can decrease the opacity or increase it all the way up. And then we have also the border radius, which is just the radius at the edges of the image. So if you want to have round edges, we can just increase the values right here to maybe, let's say, 20 pixels. And this gives us these round edges right here. And we can also add a box shadow by clicking on the pen icon next to box shadow. And this will add this nice shadow around our image. We can also increase or decrease the blur, change the direction of the shadow to make it look exactly how we want it to look. And if you want to just delete the shadow again, we can just click on this back to default icon, and this will get rid of the shadow. So now we know how we can edit all of the image elements on our website. Next, let's take a look at how we can edit the container backgrounds. Again, here for the first container, we have an image as a background. Then for the second container, we just have a white background, then again a white background, and then here we have another image. Now let's make some changes to the background of this top container. First, we have to select our container by clicking on the 6 dots right here. And then we want to go directly to the style settings. And here we can see that the background type is currently set to classic. This means that we can either add a simple color as the background, or we can add an image, which is currently the case for this container. Now to change that image, all we have to do is click on Choose Image right here. And then we can either choose an image from our media library, or we can upload our own image. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go to Upload Files, and then I'm just going to drag and drop in an image that I want to use. Once it's uploaded, I'm going to click on Select. And now the image has changed to the new one. And when we scroll down, we can see that the position for this image is currently set to center center, which means that when the image doesn't fit the container perfectly, it will just center the image into the container. But if the top part of the image is more important, we can also show more of the top by changing this to top center, and then it will just show always the top of the image. Or we can set it to bottom center if you want to show the bottom of the image more. But I usually leave it at center center. Then we have an attachment effect right here. So currently it's set to scroll, which means that the image will just scroll down with the page. But we can also set it to fixed, and then the image will stay fixed in place. And as you can see here, this will kind of give this effect where all the elements scroll up and the image will kind of stay the same in the background. But for now, I'm going to set it back to scroll. Then usually you want to leave the display size to cover to make sure the image covers the entire screen. And here under background overlay, we also get some useful options. For example, let's say we want to increase or decrease the brightness of this background here. What we can do is just add an overlay color and then play around with the opacity. So to make this a bit darker, what we can do is just click on the color option here and then just add a black color as an overlay over this image. And then here we can just play around with the opacity and make it all the way dark, or we can make it a bit brighter by decreasing the opacity of this black color overlay. If you want to make the background a bit brighter instead, we can just change the color here to a white, and this will increase the brightness of the background. So this is how we can edit and play around with the background image, but we can also just set it to a simple color. So when we come back up here in the Style tab and go to Background, to add a simple color, we have to just delete the image that is currently set here. So to delete the image, we just click on the trash icon, and this gives us the default color, and we can change that right here. We can click on the color and then change it to any type of color that we like for our new background color. Or we can also go to our default colors by clicking on this globe icon and then just choose any of the default colors. Now we could also choose a gradient as a background by changing the background type to gradient. And then here we can choose the first color. Maybe we're just going to choose a white. And then for the second color, we can choose that here. We can maybe just choose a gray. And now we have this nice gradient as the background. And another very cool thing we can do here is add a video as a background. For this, we have to change the background type to video. And then the easiest way is to just upload your video to YouTube and paste in the video link to this field right here. I've just taken an example video that I found. And by just pasting in this URL, the video will start playing here as a background. Now, maybe you want to have the video start at a specific time, then you can just enter the start time right here. Maybe I'm just going to have it start at 5 seconds and then we'll end the video at 120 seconds. And then it will just play as a loop between the 5-second and 120-second timestamp. Now, whenever you add a video as a background, you definitely want to add a fallback image. That's because sometimes the video doesn't play for some reason, and then you want to have it display a specific image so that there's actually content in the background. So to add a fallback image, we just click on the plus icon here, and then we can just add an image. So maybe we'll just add the cloud image that we've used before and click on select. And now if for some reason the video doesn't play, maybe it gets deleted, we just have this image as a background. And then down here for background overlay, we have the same options as before. So we can add an overlay color. Maybe we want to add a white color, and then we can change the opacity to kind of brighten this video up, or we can also just decrease the opacity right here. And then the last type of background would be a slideshow. So to do that, let's go back to the background tab here, and then let's switch the background type to slideshow. And then here we can select our images by clicking on the plus icon. Here I'm just going to select some of the images I already have in the media library. Let's just take these 4 and click on create new gallery. Here we can also mess around with the order of the slideshow and then click on insert gallery. And now we have these images that will be displayed as a background, and then it will just change the images every few seconds. And here we can set all the values for duration, transition duration, and so on. But for now, I'm going to set the background back to its original one, which was just an image. So I'm going to go back to the classic background type, and then I'm going to choose my image here. I believe it was this one. Let's click on select. And then I can see there's a white overlay. So let's just delete that by going down to background overlay. And then I'll just decrease the opacity to 0. And there we go, we are back with the original background. So now we've learned how to control all of the elements on our page, the text, the buttons, the images, the backgrounds. And the next thing we need to know is how to control the spacing between each of our elements. And to look at that, we're actually going to go to a different page on our website. So first, let's save our changes by clicking on Update. Then let's open up a new tab and go to our website. Then here we're going to switch pages by clicking on the About page. And then we're going to go into the page builder for the About page by clicking on Edit with Elementor. And now we can just close the other tab. So there are a few ways how we can control the spacing between our elements. The most frequently used one is margin and padding. So let's see how that works. Let's scroll down on our About page and go to this quote right here. Now let's select this container, and then to control the spacing, let's go to the Advanced tab. And here we can see under Layout, we have margin and we have padding. By changing these values, it allows us to add space to the top, right, bottom, and left of our container. But what is the difference between margin and padding? To understand the difference, I have this illustration right here. Now here in the center, we have our content element. In our case, this is our container. And then in green, we have the border around our element. Now, when we add padding, it will add space between the content element and the border of our element, so inside of the border. And if we add margin, it will add space outside of the border. So here for our container, we can see that we have 90 pixels as padding for the top, which is this area right here. And then we have 100 pixels here for the bottom. Now, when we add more pixels to the top, we can see that the area on the top of the text will increase. So we have more padding right here inside of the border. Now let's put this back to 90 and let's see what happens when we add margin instead. Now let's first unlink these values so we can control them individually. And then let's start adding margin to the top of our container. And here we can see that the spacing will be added outside of our border. Now let's put this back to 0. And then let's say we want to decrease the space between this text element and this button right here. So to do this, we could either just decrease the space below this text, or we could decrease it above this button. It looks here like the space has been added to the top of the button right here. So I'm going to select the button element. And then to control the spacing, we're going to go to the Advanced tab again. And here we can see that there are 25 pixels added to the top of this button. Now to put this button a bit closer to this text, all you have to do is decrease the margin value here. So I can just decrease it maybe by, let's say, 10 pixels. And this will put the button closer to this text. Something to keep in mind is that oftentimes you don't really notice the difference between adding margin or adding padding because you don't really see the border on the actual website. For example, for this button right here, we could also just add padding by unlinking these values and then adding padding to the top right here. And as you can see, the effect is the same as if we were just to add more margin. And that's because we don't see the border on the actual website. Now, for the entire container, we do actually notice the difference because the background image here is only inside of the border. So if we add margin, then the margin will be added outside. So the white background gets larger here. But if we add the padding, then we can see that the background image actually gets larger because we add spacing inside of the border where the image is displayed. Now, another very simple way how we can control the spacing between elements is to simply add a spacer element. So we go to the elements by clicking on the 9 dots here, and then we look for the spacer, which is right here. We can just click, hold, and drag into the area where we want to add space, for example, between the heading and the text element. And then this element would automatically add some space. Currently, it's 50 pixels, as we can see here. And to increase the space, we can just drag the slider to the right, or we can drag it to the left to decrease the space in this spacer element. Then we have one more way how we can control spacing. Let's scroll all the way up to the top of the page and then select this top container. Then here we can see that the space between the top and the bottom of this container is actually defined by this minimum height slider. So here it's set to 600 pixels, and we can decrease or increase the minimum height, which will also control the spacing between the top and the bottom of this container. So now we know how to control our containers, our elements, and the spacing between those containers and elements. What we haven't looked at so far is how to control the layout within a container. So to look at some different layouts, let's open up a new tab and then just go to our website. And here for the first container, we can see that we have just a simple one column container with some elements in the center. Then when we scroll down, we can see that we have a 3-column layout. So we have 3 columns with 3 images, 3 headlines, and then 3 text elements. Then when we scroll further down, we have a 2-column layout and then another 1-column layout. Now, to learn how to set up a layout within a container, what we're going to do is try to manually replicate this layout right here, where we have 3 different columns. So let's go back to the other tab where we have our page builder open for the About page. And here we want to start with a simple container. So let's scroll down and click on the plus icon, then again on the plus icon. And here we can start with either a flexbox or a grid. Now the grid is something they have recently introduced, which has certain advantages when it comes to building grid layouts. But we're not going to go too much into this because it's a bit more advanced, and we're going to keep things simple and just start with a simple flexbox. And then we can see a few structures we can start with. These are basically just templates for your layout, but we're going to start from complete scratch. So we're going to choose this one right here. And this gives us our first container. Next, we want to create our 3 columns inside of this container. And to do that, we have to add 3 more containers. So let's click on the 9 dots here and then just drag and drop in a new container. Now, to have space for 3 containers, we need to decrease the width of this new container. So to do that, we're first going to go and select it. And then here in the Layout tab, we first want to change the content width from boxed to full width. So we're able to decrease the width of the entire container. Then we want to make sure that the width is set to percentage. And then we're just going to decrease the percentage to 33.33, which is going to allow us to have 3 of these containers next to each other, which is then going to fill out the entire width of the page. Once we have the first one, we can simply duplicate it by right-clicking and then duplicate, and then once more. And now we notice that our containers are actually aligned in a vertical manner, so they're below each other, but we actually need to have them next to each other to get our 3 columns. So to do that, we have to first select our main container again, the first one we've created, and then we want to change the direction here from vertical to horizontal. And this will give us our 3-column layout. Now, to make sure that our layout is always centered, we also want to go to Layout and then to Justify Content and click on Center. So now that we have our 3 columns, we are ready to start adding content. So let's click on the 9 dots again, and then let's drag in an image. And let's also add a heading. And then let's also add a text editor element. Then let's go ahead and choose an image here. So select the image element, then go to choose image, and then I'm going to choose this one here and click on select. Then we can also change the text here. So we're just going to select it and change this to web design. And then we're just going to leave this text as it is. And now I'm going to show you something very cool, which is how you can simply copy and paste the style of different elements on your page. So let's say we want to change the style of this heading to the style we have right here. All we have to do is right click on this heading element and click copy, and then go back to our heading and then right click and paste style. And then it will be in the exact same style as this heading right here. And then once we're done with the first column, we can save some time by simply copy and pasting it. So let's first delete the other 2 columns by right-clicking and then clicking delete. And then right-click on this one and click duplicate. And then again, duplicate. And then we can just go ahead and change the content of the other columns. So let's say here, we want to change it to this image. And then maybe we also want to change the heading to content. And then one more thing we could do is add some space to the top and bottom of this new container. And we already know how to do that. So let's just select the container here, go to advanced, and then we're going to add some padding. So inside of this border, and let's just unlink these values and then add 50 pixels to the top of the container and also 50 pixels to the bottom of the container. So now you know how to create your own layout from scratch. This usually takes a lot of time in the beginning when you don't really have a lot of experience creating your own website. So if you want to save some time and make things a bit easier for you, one thing you can do is work with templates. So let's see how we can import a template to our page. Let's scroll up and click on the plus icon here once again. And now we're not going to start from scratch by clicking here. We're actually going to click on this S icon, which is visible because we have installed the Starter Templates plugin. And then here we're going to switch from pages to blocks. And then here we have all kinds of different layouts that we can simply import with some placeholder content. So we can simply browse these templates right here. And then once we find something that looks like what we want to create, we can simply click on it and then click on import block. And this will automatically import this design to our page. We can also change the position by just clicking, holding, and dragging it to wherever we want it to be placed, maybe right here. And then it will be put right here. And we can even import entire pages or parts of pages from other website templates that we have available. So here, when we come back to the plus icon and then click on the S again, here under pages, we can find all kinds of different website templates that we can use for our website. So this is actually the template that we are using right now as a starting point for our website, but maybe you also want to use part of another template. So maybe this one right here. So we can click on it, and then here we can see all of the pages that are in this website template. Maybe we want to use part of this about page here. So let's click on it, and then let's click on import template. And now when we scroll down, we can see that the entire page, so all of the containers in this page were imported to our page. So maybe we just want to use a specific part of this page. Maybe we don't want to use this part, so we can just click on the X to delete it. Maybe we also want to get rid of this one as well, and maybe we just want to keep this part right here, so we'll leave it, and then we just delete everything else. Now we can also create our own templates that we can then simply reuse on different parts of our website. So let's say we want to create a template out of this part here. All we have to do is right click and then click on Save as Template. Then we have to name the template. So let's just say Design 1 and then click Save. And now we can close this window. And let's go to another page of our website. Let's open up a new tab, go to our website, and then open up the page builder for our homepage. And then let's say we want to add this template right here. So we can just click on the plus icon, then click on the folder. And here we can go to My Templates. And here we can see our template. So we can just click on Insert and Apply. And now we can see that part here on our homepage also. Next, let's take a look at how to change the default fonts and colors on our website. Now we already know how to change the fonts and colors for all of the elements individually on our website. We can simply click on it, then go to Style, then go to Text Color or Typography and change all the settings here. But because we are using a template, there are some default settings in the background, and now I'm going to show you how to actually change those default settings. And we actually have to do that outside of the Elementor page builder. We have to do it on the WordPress level. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to close the other tab here because we don't need it anymore. And then we're going to go to our website. So we can simply click on the preview button here at the bottom, this eye icon, and this will open up our website. And then we want to go to the customizer. So let's click on customize right here. And from here, we want to open up our global settings, which is where we can change all of the default settings for typography, colors, containers, buttons, and so on. Let's go to typography first. And here we have some presets we can try out. So for example, we can click on this one right here, and it will automatically change all of the text here on our website. Or maybe we can try out this one and see how that looks. But we can also just change that individually to whatever font we like. We can just scroll down to base font. Then the body font is basically the regular text elements here. So we can just click on the pen icon and maybe we change that to an Arial. Click that here. And this will automatically change it on the entire website. And then the same thing for headings. Maybe you want to choose Roboto for our headings. So we can just type that in, select it, and it will automatically change on the entire website. Now let's also take a look at the default colors. So let's scroll back up and go back one step and then go to colors. And here we can also see that we have some presets, so some different color palettes. Currently we are on style 1, but we can also try out style 2 or style 3 and see how that looks. But I'm just going to go back to style 1 for now. And we can also change all of the colors individually right here. So let's say we want to change all of the headings. We can just go to the heading color, and maybe we want to have red headings for some reason. We could just change that here. And maybe we also want to change the text right here. We can maybe make that a bit darker to a dark gray like this. And this way we can basically create our own color palette for our website. Let me just quickly redo the heading color because that red looks terrible. And when we scroll a bit further down, we also have our site background color. So here it's currently set to white, but we could also change it to any other color. And we can see the default background color will also change. So now let's scroll back up and go back one step. And then let's also go to buttons. Here you have the default settings for the text color for the buttons, the background color, the border color, the font, the padding, the border width, and the border radius. So you can also change the default buttons for your website here. Now, to make all the changes public for your website, you can just click on Publish right here, and then the changes will apply. And once that's done, we can close this tab and go back to Elementor. To see the changes we've made here as well, we have to reload the page. But whenever you want to reload, make sure you update the settings first by clicking on Update here at the bottom, and then you can just reload the page, and then all of the changes you have made to the default settings will now also be visible right here. Now, when you're creating your website, you want to make sure that it also looks good on smaller screen sizes, such as a tablet or a mobile phone. Because nowadays, most people are actually browsing the web using their mobile phone, and we want to make sure that our website looks good on the mobile phone device as well. So to see what our website looks like on a different device, we have to open up the responsive mode of Elementor. So to go to the responsive mode, we're going to go down to the left side and click on the responsive mode. Once that's done, this bar here at the top will open up where we can change between different screen sizes. Currently we are on the desktop view, but we can also switch to the tablet portrait view right here. And we can see how our website looks like on a tablet. Because we are using a template that is already optimized, we can see that it already looks pretty good. So there's not much we need to do here. But let's go to the mobile portrait view as well. And here we can see that we have a bit of a problem, which is that the WordPress text is a bit too large, so it doesn't really fit the screen. So we need to change that here in the mobile view. To do that, we can just click on the text element or the heading element, and then go to Style, and then click on the pen icon next to typography. And here we can decrease the size. Now, one thing we can notice is that here where it says size, there's a mobile phone icon next to it. This means that you can individually change this size of the text without having it affect the other screen sizes. So here I can simply decrease the size of this heading to, let's say, 40 pixels. And now when we go back to the tablet view and open up the typography settings, we can see here that it's still 60 pixels. And when we go back to the desktop view and open up the typography settings, we can see it's 83 pixels. And this works for all the values where we have this icon next to it. So let's go back to the mobile view. And then let's say we want to make some more space here between this text and this button. So we can just click on the button element, then go to the advanced tab. And then here for margin and padding, we can also see this phone icon. So we know that we can change the spacing independently from the other screen sizes. So maybe we just want to add some padding to the top here. We can just unlink these values, then add, let's say 10 pixels. And this will add this space here. And now when we go back to the tablet view, it will be without any padding here at the top. Another thing we can do is hide specific elements on different screen sizes. So let's say we want to just have this element on the desktop view and the tablet view, but we don't want to have it shown on the mobile phone view. What we can do is select this element and then go to the Advanced tab, then scroll down and open up the responsive settings. Here under visibility, we can change the visibility on different screen sizes. So for example, if you want to hide it on the mobile view, we can just switch this to hide. And then when we go to the mobile view, we can see that this element is grayed out, which means that people will not be able to see it on their mobile phone. So now let's go back to the desktop view and close the responsive mode. Now we're going to take a look at how to edit the contact form on our contact page. So first we have to navigate to the contact page. So let's just go to the URL box, type in our website address, hit enter, and this will take us to our website. From here, let's click on the contact link, and this will take us to our contact page. And here, when we scroll down, we can find this contact form where people can get in contact you by entering their details and then clicking on this Send Now button. So let's see how we can edit this form. Let's click on Edit with Elementor to open up the page builder for our contact page. Then let's scroll down and go to our form. Then let's select it. And then here on the left side, we can see that we can just choose the kind of form that we want to add here to this page, but there's not a lot of options that allow us to change these form fields. And that's because the form was actually inserted using a plugin called WP Forms, so we can't make any changes directly here on Elementor. So to make changes to this form, we have to go and open up the settings for the WP Forms plugin. So let's take a look at the WordPress dashboard by going to a new tab and then typing in the URL followed by wp-admin, and this will take us to our WordPress dashboard. And then here we can see that under plugins, we have the WP Form Slide plugin, which allows us to add a contact form to our contact page. And when we have installed this plugin, we can also see the WP Forms settings right here in the left sidebar. When we click on it, we can see our contact form right here. Now to make changes, we can simply click on the contact form and start making changes. Now recently, they have also introduced a link directly on Elementor. So we can actually go back to our page builder Elementor where we can see our form, and then we can see when we select the form element that there's a link saying edit the selected form. When we click on this link, then the plugin settings will automatically open up and we can make changes right here. So here we can see that the contact form currently asks for the name, the phone number, the email, and then a message. Maybe we also want to ask for something else, so we can check out these fields right here on the left. Maybe we also want to ask a question with a multiple choice answer. We can simply drag and drop in this field to our form. And then to edit this field, we can just click on it, and then we can change the question here. So maybe we ask, what are you interested in? And then the first choice maybe would be web design. The second one could be social media management. And then the third one could be paid ads. Then to make this field required, we can scroll down and then flip the switch here where it says required. And to get rid of any of the fields, we can just hover over it and then click on the trash icon and then delete the field from the form. So now let's save our changes. And then let's check if the form actually works. So let's open up a new tab and go to our website. Then let's navigate to the contact page, scroll down, and then type in our info for the contact page. Choose something here and add a random message and click on Send Now. Now we can see a confirmation message saying, thanks for contacting us. We will be in touch with you shortly. You can also edit this message by going back to the form settings right here, then opening up the settings. And here under confirmations, you can change the message to whatever you want right here. Now to check if the form actually worked, we want to go to our email inbox And then we should see an email saying new contact form entry. So we can just open this up and then we can find all the details that were entered, like the name, the email address, what they were interested in, so the multiple choice question, and then the message. Now we can answer directly to the email they have given us right here by just hitting reply. And then the email will just be put into the recipient box and we can just start contacting them. Now, by default, these form entries will be sent to your WordPress admin email, but you can also have them sent to a different email by going to the form settings again, then under settings, going to notifications, and then here you can just enter any email that you want the form entries to be sent to. Great, so now let's just close all of these tabs. And then here, let's close the form settings window. And now we're back on the contact page. Let's click on update to save our changes. So now we're going to take a look at how to add a completely new page to our website. So to add a new page, we want to start in the WordPress dashboard. So let's go to the URL box and type in our website URL followed by wp-admin, hit enter, and this will take us to our WordPress dashboard. From here, let's go to pages. And then click on Add New Page. Then close this window and let's give our page a name. I'm going to just name it Projects. And then let's publish it by clicking on Publish and again Publish. And now to make changes to our new page, we can just click on Edit with Elementor. And this will take us to the page builder of our new page. Now to add content to our new page, we have a few options. We can either just start from scratch, hit the plus icon, and then start building out our content. Or we could also just use templates by using the Starter Templates plugin by clicking here. And then here we have all of these templates for websites that we could use. Or we could also use these blocks, and we've already learned how to do that. But what you could also do is just use parts of the other pages that you already have on your website. So when we go to our website and then maybe we go to the services page, and then we probably want to just copy and paste this entire top section because this is kind of the same throughout the entire website. So what we can do is just click on the Edit with Elementor icon to go into the page builder, then right click into this container and then just click copy, then go back here to the new page and then just right click again and click on paste to paste this entire top container. And then here we can just change the text to say projects. And then maybe we also want to import a part of our about page. So we can just go to our website again, then go to the about page, go to Edit with Elementor. And then maybe we just want to import this layout as well. We just right click, copy, then go back to our new page and right click paste. Now let's save our changes by clicking on update and then let's preview our new page. And here we notice that we have a bit of a problem, which is that the header is not transparent like it is on the other pages. So to change that, we're going to click on edit page here in the top bar. Then we're going to go to the Astra settings by clicking on this icon. And then we're going to scroll down and click on advanced settings. And then for a transparent header, we're going to click on enabled and then close the window and click on update. Now we can preview our page again and we can see that the header is now also transparent. But one thing that we can notice is that this new page, projects, is not yet in the navigation menu here at the top. So let's see how we can add that new page to our menu. We have to go back to our WordPress dashboard. So let's just click on the WordPress icon right here. Then let's go to Appearance and click on Menus. And here we can simply add our new page by selecting it right here and clicking Add to Menu. Then it will show up here in our main menu. And we can also change the position. So maybe we want the projects page between the services and the contact page. So we can just drag and drop it in here, and then we can click on Save Menu. And to see if that worked, we can just open up a new tab and go to our website. And now we can see that the projects page is now part of our navigation menu. We could also just add this as a submenu under another link, maybe under the services link. And to do that, we can just go back to the menu settings, then scroll down here, and we can just drag and drop that projects link below another existing link. So maybe just below the services as a sub item. Now again, we can just save the changes and go to our website and reload the page. And now we can see that the project page is a submenu of the services link. And to remove any of these links up here, we can also do that in the settings. So here in the menu settings, we can just go to the link we want to remove. For example, I don't need this home link. So I can just click on the drop-down arrow and click on remove and then save the changes. And now when I go back to the website and reload the page, we can see that the home link is removed. So now we know how we can edit our navigation menu here in the header, but let's also learn how we can change the rest of the header. So how we can edit this logo here, how we can change the layout, and also how we can change the colors of our navigation menu. So to do that, we're going to click on Customize to open up the customizer. And then here we're going to click on the header builder. And then here to change our logo, we can just click on Site Title and Logo, and then on Change Logo. Then we can upload our logo that we want to add and click on Select. Then here we can skip the logo if you want, but I like the frame that it already has, so I'm going to click on Skip Cropping. And then it should actually change right here. But because I have a special Retina display with a higher pixel density, it will actually take this logo right here, the Retina logo. So we can upload a regular logo and the Retina logo. And this one right here is usually in a bigger file size with more pixels. So then on the displays with a higher pixel density, the logo will still be displayed sharply. So we can just click on remove here, and then by default, it will just take this regular logo. Or we can also upload this logo again with more pixels. So now it's a bit too large, so I can also just decrease the width of the logo to maybe, let's say, we just do 35 pixels. And then we also want to upload our site icon, or sometimes also called favicon. And this will be displayed at the top of the browser right here. So we can just scroll down and then click on site icon, select site icon. And then you want to upload a square version of your logo. Click select, skip cropping. And now we can see the square version of our logo right here at the top of the browser. Now let's go back one step and then open up the header builder once again. And here is where we can make changes to the layout of our header. So maybe we want to have the menu on the left side and the logo on the right side. We can simply drag and drop these elements to wherever we want them to be. We could also put the logo here to the center if we think that looks better. But for now, I'm just going to put it back to its original layout. And to change the color of our navigation menu, we can just come to Transparent Header and then go to Design. And then here under Menu Color, we can change the colors. So currently the text color is black, but I can also change it to a red or to a green, basically whatever color I like. I'm just going to put it back to black. And then we also have this hover color right here, which is currently a dark green. Maybe we want to use a bit of a lighter green like this, and then the color changes to this color when we hover over this, this link. And when we click on it and the page is active, it will also have this color. And to save our changes, we just click on Publish. So now we've learned how we can edit our header, but let's also learn how we can edit the footer of our website, which is all the way here at the bottom. So let's go back one step and then one more step. And then let's open up our footer builder. And here, just like in the header builder, we can just drag around these elements to different places of the footer to rearrange the layout if we want to. And we can also change the content. So to change this text here, we can just click on this copyright element. And then here we can change the text. So I would just add something like copyright in brackets, which will show this copyright icon. And then you can add current_year in brackets, which will always show the current year, so you don't have to manually update it every year. And then at the end, you can just enter your name or business name. I'm just going to add Metics Media. And then for the logo as well, we can just click on the HTML1 element. And then to change the logo, we just click on it here, click on the pen icon, then click on replace and choose our logo, replace. And now we can see it's a bit too large. So let's click on the pen icon again. And then for size, we're going to change it from medium to custom size. And then change it to 50 times 50 pixels and click on update. And to make changes to our footer menu, we can just select the menu here. And then we can change the layout from inline to stack, or we can change the alignment, or we can hide our footer on specific screen sizes right here. Now to see how our footer looks on different devices, we can just click on them down here and see what it looks like on a tablet, or we can click on the mobile phone and see what it looks like on a mobile phone. So again, to save our changes, let's click on Publish and close the customizer. And once we're done building our website, we want to go back to the WordPress dashboard by clicking on this icon here. Then we want to go to Plugins. And now we can activate our Lightspeed Cache plugin, which will make our website faster. So now you know how to create your own website using Hostinger and WordPress. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more tutorials like this. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching.